أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد طب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم الله رب محمد صلى عليه وسلم نحن عباد محمد صلى عليه وسلم. My dear Muslims, last week we went through the fara'id of wudu, meaning that the things which are compulsory we have to do when it comes to wudu. And we mentioned the verse of the Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions those four things. In Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, that O you who believe, إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ, that when you intend to stand for salah, فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ. That wash your face, wash your arms, including your elbows, wipe over your head, and wash your feet, including your ankles. So these were the four fara'id which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Ma'idah. So we covered them and we talked about them in the last lesson. Today, inshallah al-aziz, we will go through the sunan of wudu. So the things which are sunnah in wudu. So one thing we must remember is that when you perform wudu, there are things which are necessary. Yeah, so washing the face, washing the arms, wiping a quarter of your head and washing your feet. Now, what is more than this? So for example, the sunnahs we have now, we will cover them. They are to make sure, the sunnah are there to make sure that your fara'id are complete. Why? Because we mentioned that if any of the fard is left or is incomplete, then your wudu will not be complete. Hence, your touching of the Quran will be sinful. Likewise, praying salah, your salah will not be valid. So now, the sunan of wudu, according to Sahibu Nur al-Ida, he says that the sunan of wudu are 18. So again, some of the scholars might say they're 15, some of the scholars might say there's 20, meaning that, certain sunnahs, they have broken them down. But according to Sahibu Nur al-Ida, there are 18 sunnahs. So he mentions the first sunnah, he says, غَسْلُ الْيَدَيْنِ إِلَى الرُّسْغَيْنِ, that to wash both of your hands, including your wrists. So now, before we start our wudu, so before starting the full fard of wudu, what we should be doing is that we should wash our hands, including the wrists, so up to the wrists. Now this should be done 3 times. We will mention that later. The Prophet ﷺ did these actions 3 times. But now the first sunnah that is mentioned when it comes to wudu is to wash your hands up to your wrists 3 times. Why? What is the hikmah behind this? The hikmah behind this is that because your hands, you're going to use them throughout to wash the rest of the limbs. So to wash your face, to wash your arms, likewise to wipe over your head, to wash your feet, you're going to use your hands. So now if your hands are not clean, if there's any sort of filth on your hands, then what will happen is that the rest of the wudu, won't be complete. So now if you wash your hands beforehand, then that will guarantee that, look, my hands are clean. Now I can carry on and wash the rest of the limbs which I have to wash. So this is one of the reasons why it is, because behind every sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam there is wisdom. So this is one of the wisdoms, that when you wash your hands, what will happen is this will make sure that now the rest of the body when you wash, the rest of the limbs when you wash, then that will make sure that your hands are clean and you can use them to clean the rest and wash the rest of the limbs. Then the second sunnah they mention is what tasmiyah to ibtida'an, to recite the tasmiyah. So now reciting the tasmiyah at the start, that is something which is from the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. So this is something we must remember and bear in mind. Then it is mentioned that وَالسِّوَاكُ فِي إِبْتِدَائِهِ. So وَالسِّوَاكُ فِي إِبْتِدَائِهِ, using miswak at the start. This is also from the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then they say that if miswak is not present, so if a person does not have a miswak at the start when he's performing wudu, so a lot of the times we do not have miswak with us, and a lot of us, to be honest, miswak is something which is really important in Islam, And the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if I never found it difficult for my ummah, that if I never thought that if it would be difficult for my ummah, then I would make siwak fard with every salah. So before every salah, he would make salah miswak fard upon us. But because he knew that it would be difficult for the ummah, he never made it fard. But this shows us the ahmiyya, the importance of siwak, miswak. So the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would always have miswak with him. So keeping miswak with you is a sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So before wudu now, performing using miswak, this is sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now they say that if you do not have a miswak, walau bil asba'i inda faqdihi. So they say that if you do not have a miswak, then you can use your finger. So you can clean your mouth, yes, your teeth with your finger. Then they say wal madadu thalathan. Yeah, they say that you rinse your mouth how many times? 3 times. Yes. Then they say that even with getting the water once. So if a person now has water with him, so he gets water and he uses one bit of water, rinses his mouth, then with the same. So he got the water once, now he's got some more water, he can use that again and then again. So you don't have to get separate water 3 times. So you can get some water in your hand once and use some of it to rinse your mouth, then spit the water, then use some more. So again, that's sunnah as well. Then they say that wal istinshaqu bi thalathati ghurfatin. But now when it comes to istinshaq, rinsing your nose, now you have to use separate water each time. So a person cannot get water, rinse his nose, keep some water on his palm, and then use it again. No. Why? Because there's a possibility that water went into your nose and then it came back and it came onto your palm. So now each time, so this is sunnah. Yeah, so this is sunnah. So this is the difference between rinsing the mouth and rinsing the nose. So now when it comes to rinsing the mouth, what you do is you can use one palm of water, get the water once and use it 3 times. That's perfect. Or but when it comes to rinsing your nose, then each time you must get water separately. So you do it 3 times. This is from the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Then say wal mubalaghatu fil madmadati wal istinshaqi li ghayri as-sa'imi. Now if a person he's not fasting, so for the one who's not fasting, then he should rinse his mouth thoroughly and rinse his nose thoroughly as well. So properly, to make sure that he takes any mucus or any thing inside his throat or inside his nostrils, and he cleans them. So he takes it out. So now if you're not fasting, if you're fasting, then you do not do it thoroughly, but you just place water into your mouth, spit it back out, just place water into your nose, and that's it. But for when it comes to a person who's ghayru sa'im, meaning that he's not fasting, he's not in the state of fast, then what he should be doing is that he should rinse his nose thoroughly, meaning that sniff the water a bit up so that it goes to right to the top of the nose. Likewise, he should gargle when he's rinsing the mouth. So this is from the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then the next sunnah they mention is وَتَخْلِيلُ اللِّحْيَةِ. So they say that if a person has a beard, al-kathati, meaning that which is he has a lot of hair. Yeah, so then what he should be doing is that he should be doing khilal. So he should comb them بِكَفِّ مَاءٍ مِنْ أَسْفَلِهَا. So he gets some water in his palm and then he does khilal like this. So of course, if a person has a small beard, if a person has a big beard, but the point is his skin can be seen, so he has few hair, then he should wash his face. But if a person who's got a big beard and he's got a lot of hair, then what would happen is that he should get water in his palm and then he should do khilal, comb his beard like this. So this means that the water for him does not need to touch the skin, but he's doing khilal, which from the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So again, when we covered fard, we need to remember that we said washing the face from hairline to below the chin. Now if a person's got a beard, then washing the beard is sufficient. Yeah, so if a person's got a full beard and he's got a lot of hair, then washing the beard is sufficient. He doesn't have to get water and make sure that it touches the skin, no. But then from the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what we have is that he should be performing khilal. Likewise, they mention the وَتَخْلِيلُ الْأَصَابِعِ, and then doing the khilal of the fingers. So now when you're washing your hands, doing khilal of the fingers, this is also from what? The Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. So these things we must bear in mind, and we must remember that these are from the Sunnah. Then they say what tathlilul ghasli. Now the next Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam they mention is that when you wash your body parts, your limbs, especially when you're washing your hands, your face, your arms, and your feet, then tathlith, meaning that wash them 3 times. Yeah, so this is a Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What did I say at the start when talking about the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? That the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is there to make sure that the faraid are complete. Yeah, so now when you wash your face, for example, 3 times, this will make sure that you do not leave any part of the face out. But what you need to remember is that you should not be doing it more than 3 times. There are hadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that a person who actually does it more than 3 times, then he has crossed the limits. Meaning that if the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is there, unless you confirm that some of the body of your face or any part of the body which needs to be washed is dry, then you could do it the 4th or the 5th time. But if a person, sometimes people get confused, or they have different whispers that, oh no, maybe I haven't completed it, let me do it 10 times, and some people even do it 10 times, they're not satisfied. No, just make sure that water flows on your face and do it 3 times. That is sufficient. So if a person does it more than 3 times on purpose, then he has crossed the limits. So this is something we need to remember. We leave it here, inshallah. So these were the few sunan of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in terms of wudu. So whenever we perform wudu, try to follow the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Make a habit of performing wudu according to the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of the questions a listener might have in his mind that, look, you said that reciting the tasmiyah, the basmala, meaning Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim at the start, is sunnah. But when I perform wudu, I'm in the toilet, because of course within the Western world, the sink, the basin, and the toilet, they're in the same area. So what do you do then? So what you can do is that you can recite Bismillah within your heart, or you can actually walk out and recite Bismillah and walk back in. Of course, you should not be reciting Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim within the toilet, but there's a wudu area. Yes, so if there's a wudu area separate, the toilet is separate, then you can recite Bismillah there. For example, some people do in a separate room, and the bath and a wash basin or sink in a different room. So reciting Bismillah there would be fine, because there's no filth and dirt over there. But if a person recites Bismillah within the heart and the mind, that is sufficient. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah give us the ability to understand and follow the way of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameen bijahi nabiyil ameen sallallahu alaihi wasallam.